Good Monday morning, everyone. It has been an adventurous Monday with us in technology. So, craziness, but it is, October 18th. It is halfway through October, the Texas fall. Like I said, we don't really have that, but it's less than 100. But you guys, I am excited for today's conversation because one of my favorite authors is on. She's been featured in Book Lovers Delight twice. October was her Twisted Reverie series. I'm excited to have Meg on for you guys. Author Talk here with Amy, Fern, and our lovely guest is Meg. So you guys, hey, how was everybody's weekend or, month? How's it going?
Good. This is my favorite month of the year, obviously.
Yes.
It's beautiful here in Minnesota. We have all the changing colors, and I'm ready for Halloween. Let's go. And I two books coming month,
yeah,
so
I hear that there's this thing called seasons changing.
You have seasons.
Yes,
we don't know what that's like. We just don't.
It's pretty exciting. I recently I was at an event called Catalyst, which was this TV festival, and there were people from LA, and they were in full hats and vests, puffy vests, and coats and everything, and every local person in Duluth was like in shorts. So it's kind of funny to see how it's all relative.
Yeah, so they look like us Texans up north, when
exactly.
it's like, 65. We're like,
this is a beautiful day. Why are they acting like it's winter?
Oh my goodness. That's just how it is. Down here in Texas, I see people, it'll be like 65 outside, which isn't terrible. Down here, it's not bad. But we got our scarves out, our big jacket, our knee-high boots, because that's our winter. So that's the only time we get to bust those things out. Because other than that, we're just in shorts and a tank top or a bathing suit top, because it's just hot as hell here, like the whole time.
So, it sounds like you had like an extra hot summer. Am I wrong?
Well, no, I guess. We also had that like freeze too, where we lost power. So we went from extra hot to cold to hot again. So we don't know the difference. Honestly, I don't. Texas just is a hot mess.
Texas is bipolar. Okay, the bipolar state. Because you have those days, seriously, where you have your summer clothes underneath and you put on your fall sweater for like an hour, and then, and then the cold leaves and you're back to 80, so you have to undress and peel yourself off to be in the appropriate clothing for the moment that you're in.
Yeah, laundry down here is awful when it's winter, fall, because we really wear like 3 outfits a day. You have your fall cute little outfit, and then by the end of the day, you're in flip-flop, short, and a tank top. It's just, laundry sucks down here. It's just,
and my 10-year-old this morning, I was sending him out to the bus, and it was 55 degrees, and he said, "Why is it so hot?"
Oh my goodness, he does not know what he is. Oh my gosh, he does not know. Come to Texas, okay? You will learn what hot is. Or go to Houston, where it's hot and humid, and that's just like 100 feels like 150, okay? Like at least a dry heat, you feel like you're in an oven, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't mind being hot because I can always cool down, But if I'm cold, I can't always warm up. If I ain't got my heated blanket or my heating pad or something hot, I can't always get warm. So I just have uber thin blood or whatever, because it's like, no. But I know that you have 2 books coming out this month. So I am very excited about that. So with all that being said, take it away, Fern.
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your science of serial killers first, because, oh my God, I have a fixation with serial killers. I will admit that.
Don't we all?
I love Criminal Minds. That's like my all-time favorite show. So, okay, share with us like the coolest or most interesting thing that you discovered as you were researching for this book.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, it's coming out tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that. And it is a book that we really wanted to write a different kind of serial killer book. We didn't want to write the same thing that, has been done a million times. So we really wanted to come at things from sort of different angles. And one of the things that I learned about that I talk about in the book is this environmental factor of lead, and that there seems to be correlation and causation of lead in our environment causing violent crime. Because right now, serial killing is down 85% in the last 3 decades. And so is violent crime down. And this idea that psychologically you could have something wrong with you, but then it can be exacerbated by the environment. And that would explain perhaps why there was a rise in serial killers in the 70s, because they were growing up in the 50s when kids were absorbing lead. I thought was fascinating. And so I go into a big sort of case history, and it certainly, isn't necessarily proof positive, but it was a really kind of cool concept to kind of step outside of the psychology and look at sort of environmental scientific factors. So stuff like that. I love kind of going down those rabbit holes and just like reading articles and researching. I'm a nerd. I like that stuff. So it's really fun.
Well, that is certainly interesting. I had never heard of the lead elements being a factor. So, I mean, have there been studies? Have they like looked at, the blood, whatever content of people?
Well, children growing up, and obviously there's a big caveat here. Most people growing up in the 40s and 50s didn't become serial killers. Right. But people who were children at that time, their lead levels in their blood are going to be much higher. And there seems to be, and lead affects children the most. And at that time, scientists were trying to tell people, hey, this is bad. Let's not have this in our gas. Let's not have this, in our paint, et cetera. And it took a lot of studies to sort of find out and realize that it is bad for us. And it does affect the brain, and there are brain scans. And then there's an interesting study in Jamaica, which had lead longer than we did in their environment, and their violent crime is on sort of the same trajectory as ours, but later. So theirs kind of follows the same pattern of the highest lead is the highest violent crime. So it's just an interesting thing. It doesn't necessarily explain anything. And like I said, the majority of people growing up didn't become serial killers, but when we take that sort of psychology and the things that sort of, we can kind of point to, like severe abuse and things like that turn people into serial killers, and add that environmental element, it's a fascinating conversation. And it's something that, I love learning about that stuff, like I said.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really cool. The idea is, I mean, because I remember there was huge conversation with my parents because my grandmother had a set of little lead soldiers, that had been made ages before. And, and I remember my mom just like not letting us play with them and keeping them, sort of as a memento and something, kind of in the curio box versus, something actually a toy. And it's fascinating, this concept. I could have grown up to be a serial killer. That would have been
right. You could have just licked it, and then you could have had the soldier in your mouth, and then you could be killing people. So it's that simple.
Well, okay.
And I'm creative enough to come up with some fun ways to kill people. I'm just
right.
saying.
I mean, you're already on the border there, so.
I was on that edge, Meg. I was on that edge. That is so cool. I love that you are taking it to a different area, looking at environmental factors, not just the psychological, because I think everybody does. You're right. Focus on like what kind of psychological thing causes someone to do this. But it makes sense that there would be an environmental element there, as much as psychological.
I mean, it could be, and it's interesting. And of course, in the book, you can kind of look at the statistics and things like that. But, and also in this book, I think one of my favorite things I got to do was interview a retired FBI agent. And just hearing his perspective on things. He worked the Jeffrey Dahmer case, and you know, that was absolutely one of like a highlight of my life, just talking to him, because I really got to sort of ask him about his own sort of personal experience talking to somebody like that, but also you know, sort of the impact that these things have on him, and you know, how he sort of got through dealing with this stuff on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, that was an interesting interview. And then we also interviewed somebody who portrayed Richard Ramirez in American Horror Story. And so we get all these different perspectives, and that's what we want to do, you know, is we want to like talk sort of different, and not just list like, and then he did this, and then he killed this person. And then, you know, we really wanted to look at things from different angles and be very victim focused too, which was something important to us. Because our big thing is we don't want to put serial killers on a pedestal. They're all jerks. They're all terrible people. You know, they're not smarter than us. They're not clever. And we want to be, you know, very, outspoken about that, because we don't want anybody thinking, you know, that it's cool to put Ted Bundy on the same pedestal that you put someone fictional like Candyman or somebody. You know, it's okay to like a fictional killer, and like here I've got my little Candyman. I got, and see, it's okay to have that, but we just don't want to treat real serial killers with the same you know, feelings. So that was something that Kelly, my co-author, and I made sure to do in this book.
Yes, I think it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because I know that serial killers do have fans. I mean, there are people who are fans. I know that they like sometimes get fan mail.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting, you know, you want to wonder what makes someone decide to have like a real serial killer, someone who actually did cause serious harm to others, you know, in that kind of a, you know, like, I mean, I would write to Keanu Reeves. I mean, you know,
Yes. Well, yes. Who would not? Oh my gosh.
But like, you know, Ted Bundy, no. I mean, why would I want to, you know, correspond with him? And yet there are, you know, I don't know if you had any opportunity to look at kind of that angle as well, of like the people who get fixated on these beings.
Yeah, we did. We do a little research on women in particular, and I can't remember the term, it escaped my brain, but it's an actual like phenomenon of women who are attracted to these men, and who, you know, Danny Rolling is an example. He was the Gainesville Ripper, and a very educated, you know, well-spoken person of society married him while he was in prison, and he had done unspeakable things, you know. And so what is that that, you know, women in particular seem to be attracted to these bad boys, so to speak, but it's on a whole other level. And then there's this this idea that we go into of people collecting serial killer items. You know, there are several museums where you can actually, like, you know, see, you know, Ted Bundy's hat or something, or a weapon. And people also have their own home, you know, items at home that are serial killer related. And, you know, what drives people to do that, opposed to, you know, I mean, most women that I've talked to have some interest in true crime. There seems to be some, at least, you know, whether you watch Criminal Minds or you watch the ID channel, or you've read an Anne Rule book, you know, there's all these varying degrees, but it's very interesting. And I mean, we could probably write 5 more books on just serial killers alone, but it was a really neat experience. And Kelly and I say it's probably the toughest book we've written, because the other ones kind of focus more on fiction, you know, on Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and all of that. So we were walking kind of a fine line here, but we're really happy with the end product. So
I think it's a really great book to follow up the Science of Stephen King book with, because definitely took the series in a whole other direction. How many books are there in this series now?
So this one coming out tomorrow is the 4th, and then next October is our 5th, which is The Science of Witchcraft, which we're having a lot of fun with.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting topic, witchcraft, in the sense that, there's so many women who have been killed.
Yeah,
For witchcraft,
Right.
and so it's going to be, I'm looking forward to that one.
Right? Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna mark my October now for
I know,
now
right?
for the foreseeable future as just Meg Hafdahl month. Okay,
Yes.
let's just be real. I mean, because you have, your serial killer nonfiction book, but you also have the 3rd book in your Twisted Reverie series coming out. And so I'm just a huge fan. I love like horror and all of those. Those are my kind of books. And so I'm just excited to hear about that. So tell us all about Twisted Reveries 3.
Yeah. So what, I know that you kind of went back and forth on what you were going to write about for this 3rd collection of short stories. How did you finally decide to pick the collection that you did?
So first of all, I love the short story form. So writing more short stories was a given. And I really have always loved how short stories, especially horror, I think horror just inherently lends itself to having a little bit of, I don't want to say social commentary because that sounds very heavy, but I think that you can say things within horror and sci-fi and things like that without beating people over the head with it. And I felt as, a feminist and somebody who likes to sort of explore feminism, I felt like the antique idea or the older stories would be a fun way to sort of explore all these different women, all these different time periods, and what it's like being a woman in that time period. Obviously, we're all aware what it's like being a woman in 2021, but something that I've gotten to do through my research, like Science of Witchcraft and serial killers and all that, is I've gotten to sort of learn about women from different time periods. And I thought it was a fun challenge. I liked to do a little historical research. And so all my stories in this collection take place like World War II or before. And it was a fun challenge. And I hope that, it resonates with people, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so I love the Tales of the Macabre, which was the first one. And then of course you followed it up with Willoughby, which led to your novels. And I think you are the master of the short story, my friend. I mean, your short stories are exciting. You jump right in, and then you're scared to death for these unfortunate females, and and you discover, and I think you're very right about the genre lending itself, and especially because all of your heroes are women. Do you have a lot of research that goes into like exploring, what drives women sometimes towards violent crime or things like that? Because there aren't that many female serial killers. So what might be some of the research that you've done in that area of like, women in suspense and horror, not just victims?
Yeah, right, exactly. Anybody who knows my writing knows that I have a fixation on Lizzie Borden. And when I found out who Lizzie Borden was when I was 8, the reason it was such a profound moment for me is because I didn't realize the girls could kill people. I thought they could only be the victims. And the fact that she was holding the axe, or so to speak, I guess she was found innocent, but the fact that she was murdering people, she wasn't the one in the slasher movie running away. I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. And I think, I've been fixated on that for so long. And through the science books that I've written, I've learned kind of why women kill versus why men kill. And a lot of it has to do with security, finances. A lot of women ended up killing like Belle Gunness as an example, to, you know, keep her farm afloat. And that's not an excuse. She was a person killing people. It's not okay. But men tend to kill for different reasons, for power. There's obviously a sexual element, etc. But women tend to kill because a lot of times because of the situation that they're in. You know, if you think of like Eileen Wuornos, who was a sex worker and was killing men. Again, not excusable, but it's certainly a different reason. And so when I approached this book and a novel I'm currently working on right now, you know, obviously we are taught as women to sort of not be violent. You know, we don't inherently perhaps have the same violent tendencies, but we still have anger, we still have rage, we still, you know, maybe have that moment of thinking about hurting someone. You know, that's human. And so these are all things that I like to explore in my writing. And I don't want my women to be perfect. I want them to be complicated and interesting and flawed and all of those things, because that's what I am and that's what everyone is. So that's what I try to explore, I guess.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like I appreciate that along with other things, but probably the most is that these aren't like picturesque women, because all of us are so like flawed and just women are complicated. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, and that's okay. I like being complicated, and people can't figure me out. You know, especially my husband. I'm like, your job is to figure me out. I know me, you, right? And so it's nice because it's like I feel like for me, it really draws me in more to the stories, because I feel like, you know, I'm not a serial killer, so don't take it that way. But I feel like it's like a part of me, you know, like I guess that's like buried down deep, you know, like, oh, Amy's on a regular like rampage or whatever. But I feel like it's like a part of all women can be this way and can be violent and complicated and flawed, because that's just how we are. But I think I don't know, it's so like relatable that I can almost put myself in their shoes and be like, you know, this is something I could totally see myself doing, you know, like, I don't know, that's just me. Maybe if I, you know, I had, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I and you're not alone. I think that all women, you know, in my first short story collection, I wrote a story about a woman who abandons her children, and that's awful and horrible. But it's also something that has flashed across every mother's mind, where she's like, what if I just got in the car and drove away and drove down to the beach, right? So, and that's okay, you know, and it's okay, like, to, obviously I'm writing extreme situations, but I love, you know, taking a complicated woman and sort of throwing her in this really extreme situation and seeing if she, you know, she swims or drowns. And so getting to do it 13 more times for this short story collection was fun, and I absolutely just adore writing short stories. They are kind of very important and personal to me.
Yeah, I really liked, one of my favorite ones in this new collection is the one where she discovers she really has power, and that her anger has power.
Yeah.
Because we do, and I think that's a beautiful commentary on how often as women we control our anger. And it's inside us and we just don't let it out. And I love that this protagonist in this one story, you know, is dealing with that. Like she has the anger, but it does manifest.
It does, yes.
And she's not sure what to do about that, you know? And it's a great exploration of, like, you know, what happens to us as women when all of a sudden, you know, maybe there's that moment where, you know, we let the anger out.
Right.
How do we manage that?
And is it bad? Is it good? Like, what, how, you know, wait a minute, is this a horrible nightmare, or is this is this my superpower? Like, you know, it's, so thanks. I enjoyed writing that story. And also something I really enjoyed doing in this collection is like experimenting with form as well. Like, I did an epistolary story, or, you know, letters. That's something, you know, Mary Shelley did with Frankenstein. And I was like, hey, I'm going to try it in a short story. So short stories, again, they like kind of lend themselves to experimenting. And I love that too. So
very cool. So, you know, you've got these books. We know you've got the next science of coming. You talked about you're working on another story. What more can we expect from you, my friend? I mean, you're
oh my gosh.
perfect.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm working on a novel. And that is about I don't want to give too much away, but it's about a woman who is fixated on serial killers, and she might end up kind of stumbling across one. And then also I've been doing a lot of screenwriting, and a show that my friend that I write my science books with, we co-wrote a script, and that was a selection recently at a TV Catalyst Festival. And so that's really exciting. And we've been working in, slowly kind of working in the TV realm. We have a couple other TV shows that are under development right now. And so that's been really exciting. So I'm like kind of writing in all these different aspects, and I love screenwriting and nonfiction writing and fiction writing. And we've got our Facebook party coming up on next Tuesday to celebrate the short story collection. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, now who doesn't love a good Facebook party, book launch party? I mean, we do. Oh my goodness. It is always a great time. Absolutely. Sandy, hey girl.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Sandy.
Look
what
who
did I
dropped
join? What did I do?
You just joined us on this beautiful Monday morning with Meg Hafdahl on Author Talk.
Oh my
Hi,
God. Oh, it's where you're recording it for her. Yeah. I thought I was just going to be early for a meeting with you two. So,
well, what a nice surprise.
I'm so sorry you're seeing me with my beach look, because I have not put on makeup since I got to the beach.
Oh, fabulous. That's what you do at the beach. You ain't got to put on makeup. You let your hair down. You're just like, oh, yes, it's lovely.
Well,
absolutely lovely.
Don't do anything with your hair, because I even have a bobby pin here, because the minute I walk out the door, my hair is going in all directions from the wind. There's always wind.
Absolutely. Well, we were just talking about Meg's book launch party, which is coming up on the 26th, I believe. And so we were just wrapping up with that, but it's always a good time with Meg, Fern, me, and Sandy on a book launch anytime.
Yes, that is. I can't wait, Meg. I can't wait for your book launch party.
Thank you.
Yes, it is going to be fantastic. So Meg, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us. It is always, you are welcome any October, okay? Like I said, October is Meg Hafdahl month. Absolutely. But I'm looking forward to your book, your nonfiction book that comes out tomorrow on the 19th, and then your book 3 in the Twisted Reveries, which comes out on the 26th. It is available for pre-order. But you guys, we hope you have a fantastic week. We cannot wait to see you guys next week. Meg, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
With us. Fern, you guys are awesome. Sandy,
your hair looks awesome. I love it.
Oh,
yes.
And you know what? I can't wait to see what this nonfiction book does for your fiction books. I think that's going to be a huge telling that we can use with other authors. Hey, write your nonfiction book to promote your fiction book. So
that's right.
Good job.
So until next Monday, you guys, this has been an Author Talk, and we will catch you all next Monday.